My goal and my plan while I'm still here is to be an example, to be a resource, to be whatever I need to be to help other African American students know that they have value, they have purpose, they have meaning while being on this campus. When I decided to come to JMU, I was a middle schooler, and I came. Yeah, I was a eighth grader going into ninth grade, and I came for the summer band camp. And as a music major, of course, band camp is truly the light of coming to JMU. And so when I was thinking about JMU, it was the marching band for me. It was the music program. And as I was getting through high school and going through the application process, JMU was already number one. And so I applied to JMU. I truly loved it. The community here was amazing. And the one thing that I truly love, and that I love even as a student in the Marching Royal Dukes now, is the true dedication that the marching band staff have to their students. And one thing I tell a lot of people that are in high school now and about JMU is that we seem like a large university, but we're truly small on the inside once you get into your program and once you start to develop that community feel once you get here. And I had a few challenges here at JMU, and I think that's one of the important things as we have this conversation is to be transparent. And I don't want people to assume that just because I am here within the music program and I speak great about it, and I'm a Centennial Scholar and all of these great things. I also had a few challenges. And one of the things that I really challenged me very internally was that I compared myself to many of the students that were within my trumpet studio. I come from a background, my parents were recently divorced, but my parents truly cared about me enough to be able to know, like, you have the opportunity to go and be successful. We want you to truly do whatever you can to make a name for yourself and to do that in such a way that you can have that opportunity to make a good life for yourself and then also help other people out. So one of the things internally that challenged me was comparing myself, because most of my friends within the trumpet studio had the opportunity to have private lessons and had these great music experiences. And my school division here is highly ranked when it comes to music education from the National Music Education Organization. But it just was hard because all of my friends had these different opportunities that I never had. And so a very big shout out to my applied trumpet professor, Dr. Correa, who truly took the opportunity to get me to the position where I am now as a sophomore trumpet music education major. And in this semester, I'm in the Wind Symphony, which is the top band for James Madison. And I can't imagine if I went anywhere else how I probably would have gotten through that one challenge of comparing myself because of the situations that I had.
Xavier, I so appreciate your sharing that, because I think a lot of students, and for that matter, a lot of adults, go through that kind of period where they are constantly comparing themselves to people around them, and they feel like they don't measure up or they haven't had the same advantages that other people have had. And a part of who we want our students at JMU to be is to be their best selves, right? Is to learn about their own potential and not worry about what somebody else is doing or following the path that somebody else has followed, but how do I make the most of the skills and the talents that I have, and to use my education to develop myself. And it sounds like you've really learned how to do that.
There are a few people from where I live now in the Hampton Roads area that are alumni. A lot of alumni spoke highly about the experience they had at JMU. And what would you say to current students at JMU about the university's approach to continue that rich Madison experience as we're taking this move to online learning?
First of all, this is something that we're all going through together. And that's part of who we are as JMU Dukes, right? That we are at our best when we work together, when we try to solve problems together. I heard a pastor say that the only current cure that we have for COVID-19 is solidarity. It's lifting each other up. It's helping each other through this. When I think of the skill sets, Xavier, and the things that we want you to learn, it's not just the subject matter of courses, but we want you to learn skills in things like communications and teamwork and leadership, overcoming obstacles, resilience, right? These are the skill sets that you're going to need to be successful in life no matter where you go. And I think there's a real opportunity in this kind of crisis for all of us, students as well as faculty and staff, to say, what can we learn during this very difficult time above and beyond the subject matter of our courses? I think some of our students are going to realize that they are innovators, that they are creative. They're going to help us. They're going to have suggestions about what we can do even better. And they're going to help each other. To our students, if you can think about how can you be a positive influence right now? How can you support and lift up other students that are going through these challenges? Check on each other. Make sure that each other is doing okay. I think really thinking about the human element in all of this is key. And if students focus on what they can do to make a positive difference and how they can contribute, how they can participate, the same will be true with faculty and staff. I think we will get through this and be better and stronger than ever.
JMU has definitely gained a national attention or spotlight because of this decision. And I know that our vision for the university is to, if I'm going to read it to make sure, to be the national model for the engaged university, engaged with ideas in the world. What is JMU's responsibility nationally to continue that vision statement?
When we talk about that idea of being engaged with ideas and the world, what we mean is that we are in this together as a community and that we care about one another and we have that sense of not just our rights as citizens, but our responsibilities to one another. And that's what our decision making is always guided by, right? We want people to understand that, look, this university is going to do whatever it takes to try to protect one another, to try to protect its community, but also then to provide that high quality of an educational experience and that personal interaction. That relationships are at the heart of this university. That's who we are, right? And maintaining and enhancing those relationships, even during these difficult times, is something that we are absolutely committed to doing. Human relationships are at the heart of what we do, and that engagement vision. It's engagement with the community. It's engagement with civic society. It means that there are times that you have to make difficult choices, that you have to adapt, that you have to change course, that you have to be prepared to deal with challenges and setbacks. But we can also be a model of resilience and strength and innovation. And that's what I think and expect JMU will do as we go forward. And I think people will take notice that here is a university that is working hard every step of the way to work through these challenges and that we're going to do it together.
But I also would like to add, President Alger, something that I know that the university is focusing on heavily, which is inclusion and diversity. And one of the things that I know that my purpose for being here at JMU is to serve as another help to students that come from the African American community. And so my goal and my plan while I'm still here is to be an example, to be a resource, to be whatever I need to be to help other African American students know that they have value, they have purpose, they have meaning while being on this campus. And that's one of the things that I'm really dedicated about in the coming months, in the coming years that I'm here at JMU, is to make sure that students that come from my area or from any area within the Commonwealth or in the nation that are in the African American community can know that you can come here and have purpose. You can come here and be valued. You can come here and be respected.
Xavier, thank you so much for sharing that insight, because, as you know, even as we're going through this COVID-19 pandemic, our nation is dealing with another pandemic of a kind, with systemic racism and really confronting those issues of social justice and racial equity that have really plagued our nation throughout its history. It's such an important time for us to confront that history, but also to work together, to recognize the value of every individual on our campus, to provide access and opportunity for students of all backgrounds, to reach out and make sure that students feel welcome on our campus and that they can be successful at JMU, not just getting into the university, but once they're here and on campus.
And I think one of the important things that we have to continue to talk about, and my big thing is always communication. I've learned when I was drum major in high school, I've learned as a student within the School of Music, I've learned in most of my education classes so far, the significance of communication. And so when we address, as you said, the racial injustices that we're seeing around in our nation, and even here in the state of Virginia, that we have to continue to have that communication. We still need to have those conversations about changes that we want to see in our world today. And so I know that, like you said, with the pandemic going on, we still have to understand that there's another, problem that's, hurting our nation right now, which is racial injustice. And so I have, put it amongst myself to be more involved within some of the organizations, Black organizations, through our SEMAS program. And I'm committed, even though I have a very busy schedule with being a music person, I'm committed to joining those organizations and figuring out my place and my purpose within those organizations to make James Madison University a more inclusive and diverse community.
I think we're at an important historical moment where I think people have finally realized that, yes, we really do have to confront these issues head on. We've got to be able to have honest and difficult conversations about the past, the present, and then the future. Where do we go from here? And I know that you will help us do that.
And I just would ask you, the last question that I really have is for those students that may still have questions, comments, concerns, where can they go to get these, answered?
So first of all, there's a lot of information on the university's website, as you may have seen if you've been there. And the university is constantly posting information and communications. Read your emails as well. Be on the lookout for the things that actually come from the university. And then if you've got questions in a particular area, contact those offices rather than relying on something, from another source. So go to those offices. Those offices will remain open. Remember, the university is made up of thousands of people working together. All of us are in this business because we care about students. That direct personal contact, I think, is the best way to get those answers if you can't find them readily on the website or in the other information that we're putting out every day.
And so I would just, turn it back to you to say any last words that you would want to say to students, maybe faculty as well, maybe parents and alumni as we are guiding through this next step as a university.
Well, first, I want to say thank you to everybody who has been part of this journey with us, and especially to the people who are doing everything in their power, the faculty, the staff, as well as students, to try to make this educational process work as best as possible under truly, truly extraordinary circumstances. This is unlike anything we've ever faced in our lifetimes, and that's true for all of us. So the best way for us to get through this is with that spirit of unity, that spirit of understanding, and that spirit of lifting one another up. I think it's very easy sometimes when there's a lot of stress, and we're all feeling the stress, right? When there's a lot of stress, I think it's easy for people to become angry or frustrated or to lash out. But we're better than that as a university community. And JMU at its best is when people come together and work together to solve difficult problems. And I am absolutely convinced, with all the brain power that we have around us, that we can and will get through this.
Going into this semester, one of the things that I really thought about was that it's important to find that group of people that I could always keep close to me, physically distant, but close to me in such a way that I didn't have to feel like I was alone in this. And so I really would encourage other students in saying, as we're going through this difficult time, it's important to find that group of people that you truly can rely on to be a fellow Duke too. But I think it's important that we continue to have this conversation. There are many conversations that I believe we'll have to have in the future as we continue to go through this difficult time. And this is not the Madison experience that we know or that we've seen in previous years. But this is going to give us an opportunity to redefine that and to make this an even better school year. So thank you so much, President Alger, for taking time out of your busy schedule for allowing us to have this conversation. And I think that the JMU community will benefit from it well.